The boardroom of Sterling Industries was a temple of power. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Manhattan skyline, a sprawling testament to the empire my grandfather had built and I had inherited. The mahogany table was polished to a mirror shine. The leather chairs were Italian, custom-made, each one costing more than most people's annual salary. The air was thick with the scent of expensive cologne, the low hum of negotiation, and the electric tension of men who had made their fortunes by being ruthless. Damian Sterling, the youngest CEO in the company's history, sat at the head of the table. I was 32 years old, handsome, wealthy, and utterly miserable. My wife, Isabella Vance, sat at the opposite end of the table. She was my CFO, the woman my father had forced me to marry 5 years ago as part of a merger agreement between Sterling Industries and Vance Holdings. The Vance family was old money, even older than mine, and the merger had saved both companies from bankruptcy, but I had never wanted her. She was quiet, reserved, painfully competent. She never laughed at my jokes. She never fawned over my achievements. She simply did her job, did it better than anyone else in the room, and then went home to our penthouse where she read books and drank tea and made me feel like a stranger in my own life. I had hated her for that, for her calmness, for her self-sufficiency, for the way she never needed me, never clung to me, never made me feel like the center of her universe. I had wanted passion. I had wanted fired. I had wanted the woman I had grown up with, the girl next door, my childhood sweetheart, Lily Hart. Lily was everything Isabella wasn't. She was vivacious, spontaneous, desperate. She laughed at my jokes even when they weren't funny. She told me I was a genius even when I was wrong. She made me feel like a god, and she had been waiting for me for years, patiently, faithfully, while I was trapped in a loveless marriage to a woman my father had chosen for me. Today was the day I was going to end it. Gentlemen, I said, my voice cutting through the hum of conversation, I have an announcement. The merger between Sterling Industries and Vance Holdings is being dissolved, effective immediately. I am filing for divorce from Isabella Vance, and I am reclaiming full control of my company. The boardroom fell silent. The executives exchanged glances. MY legal team shifted uncomfortably, but it was Isabella's reaction that I was watching. She didn't flinch. She didn't gasp. She simply looked at me with those cold, gray eyes, and she smiled. Damian, she said, her voice calm and measured. Are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything, I said. Lily and I are getting married. This marriage was a mistake from the beginning. It was a business transaction, nothing more. And I'm ending it. Isabella nodded slowly. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. She laid it on the table in front of her. I was expecting this, she said. I've been expecting it for a long time. So I took the liberty of preparing some documents. You see, Damian, when we merged our companies, we signed a prenuptial agreement, but we also signed a separate contract. One that gave me the right to buy out your shares in Sterling Industries at a predetermined price if you ever initiated a divorce. I laughed. It was a harsh, dismissive sound. That contract was never enforceable. My lawyers reviewed it. It was a formality, a piece of paper to appease your father's paranoia. It's worthless. Isabella opened the folder. She slid a document across the table. Your lawyers were wrong. Damian and I wrote this contract and I structured it, and I made sure every clause was ironclad. You see, my father may have been the one to push for this marriage, but I was the one who negotiated the terms that I knew you would do this. I knew you would leave me the moment your childhood sweetheart came calling. So I prepared. I grabbed the document, I scanned IT, and my blood turned to ice. The buyout clause was real, IT was binding, and the price was laughably low. I had just lost my company, and my legacy, and my empire, all of it. To the woman I had just tried to humiliate. This is impossible, I said. My voice was shaking. This is fraud. This is business, Damian, Isabella said. She stood up. She smoothed her skirt. She looked at me with an expression that was almost pitying. You thought I was just a quiet, obedient wife. You thought I was a placeholder, a convenience, a woman you could discard when you were done with her. But I was never that. I was the woman who was going to destroy you, and you made it so easy. She walked out of the boardroom. The executives watched her go. The lawyers were speechless. I sat in my chair, staring at the document, feeling the walls of my empire crumbling around me. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The press had a field day. Sterling Air loses company in bitter divorce. Damian Sterling's humiliation. Isabella Vance, now CEO of Sterling Industries. My reputation was in tatters. MY friends abandoned me. MY family disowned me. MY beloved Lily, the woman I had left Isabella for, looked at me with new eyes. Eyes that were no longer filled with adoration, but with calculation. She had wanted a rich husband. She had wanted the CEO of Sterling Industries. Not the bankrupt, humiliated man who is now living in a one-bedroom apartment in Queens. Lily left me 3 weeks later. She didn't even say goodbye. She just packed her bags and walked out, leaving a note that said, "This isn't working out and I'm sorry." I was sorry too. Sorry for being a fool. Sorry for being arrogant. Sorry for throwing away the one woman who had ever been loyal to me. I tried to rebuild. That I started a small consulting firm. That I took on clients who were desperate and cheap. That I worked 18-hour days. That I sacrificed sleep, health, everything. But it wasn't enough. I was bankrupt. That I was broken. That I was alone. 2 years later, I was standing in the lobby of Sterling Industries, the building I had once owned, the empire I had once commanded. I was here to pitch a consulting contract to the new CEO, the woman who had taken everything from me, Isabella Vance. I was wearing a cheap suit that I had bought at a discount store. MY shoes were scuffed. MY hair was thinning. I looked like a shadow of the man I had once been. The receptionist, a young woman who didn't know me, called up to the executive floor. "Mr. Sterling is here to see you, ma'am." There was a pause. Then Isabella's voice, calm and measured, came through the speaker. "Send him up." I took the elevator to the top floor. The glass walls, the panoramic view, the mahogany table. It was all still there, but it wasn't mine anymore. IT was hers. Isabella was sitting in my chair, behind my desk, looking at me with those same cold, gray eyes. "Damian," she said, "it's been a long time." 2 years, I said. 2 years of hell. I've lost everything, Isabella. My company, my money, my reputation, my dignity. I'm here to beg for a job, a contract, anything. Please. I'm desperate. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she leaned back in her chair. "Desperate," she repeated. "I remember desperate. I remember being desperate for your love, for your attention, for even a glimmer of respect. You gave me nothing. You treated me like a burden, an inconvenience, a mistake. And now you're begging me for help." I fell to my knees. I couldn't help it. The tears were streaming down my face. "I was wrong," I said. "I was so wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it away for a woman who never loved me. I'm sorry, Isabella. I'm so sorry. Please give me a chance. 0.1 chance. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." Isabella stood up. She walked around the desk. She stood over me, looking down at me with an expression that was unreadable. "Damian," she said, "you humiliated me. You discarded me. You treated me like I was nothing. And now you want me to save you. Do you have any idea how pathetic that is?" "I know," I sobbed. "I know. I'm pathetic. I'm a fool. I'm a failure. But I'm begging you, please. I have nothing. No one. You're my only hope." She was silent for a long moment. Then she walked back to her desk. She pressed the intercom button. "Security," she said. "Please escort Mr. Sterling out of the building. He is not welcome here." The guards appeared. They took me by the arms and pulled me to my feet. I was still crying, still begging, still reaching for her. "Isabella, please, I love you. I always loved you." I was just too stupid to realize it. Isabella looked at me. Her eyes were cold. But for just a moment, I saw a flicker of something. Pain? Regret? It didn't matter. She turned away. I don't love you, Damien, she said. I stopped loving you the moment you told me our marriage was a mistake. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. The guards dragged me out. I was thrown onto the street. I sat on the cold pavement, weeping, as the passers-by walked past me without a second glance. I was nothing. I was nobody. I had lost everything. And it was all my fault. The years passed. I never recovered. I drifted from job to job, never staying long, never making enough to even pay rent. I ended up on the streets, homeless, a shadow of the man I had once been. I would see Isabella's face on magazine covers, on billboards, on television. She had become the most powerful woman in the business world. She had remarried a kind man who respected her, who loved her. She had children. She had a life, a happy life. I had nothing. One night, I was sitting on a park bench, freezing in the cold, when I saw her. She was walking past, holding the hand of a little girl, her daughter. She looked happy, content. She didn't even notice me. I wanted to call out to her. I wanted to beg one more time, but I couldn't. I had no right. I had given up that right when I threw her away. I watched her walk away, her laughter echoing in the night, and I felt the final shred of my dignity crumble. I had been a fool, an arrogant, entitled fool, and I had paid the ultimate price. I closed my eyes. The cold was settling into my bones. I thought of the boardroom, the mahogany table, the view of the skyline. I thought of her smile, the one I had never appreciated. I thought of the life I could have had, the love I could have cherished. But it was too late. It was always too late. And then I felt nothing.